Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cash Games Locks podcast. I'm Big Italy 42, and you know Christopher Ruckus at Space Jam 23 DFS. We're going to be breaking down some cash game lineups for you, and this is obviously early in the day. No lineups are out. They're tentative lineups, but we're going through on FanDuel and DraftKings. We each built a couple cash game lineups, and we're going to give you our players, our thought process behind it, maybe some alternates if we've got some time with those. We'll tell you some guys maybe we consider at similar price points. But you ready to get things going here, Chris?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, we're going to start here at FanDuel. We're going to go back and forth. I'll give my cash game play. He'll give his next one, etc. So I'm starting off. My pitcher right now is Andrew Cashner. I like the matchup. A low total, 7 runs. It's a pitcher's park. And Cashner has been very good this season. He's got a 26.9% strikeout rate, 6% walk rate, 49.4% ground ball rate. Been very good against righties, 287 wOBA allowed. He's had some struggles with lefties, but not really any lefties in this Giants lineup that's worrying me here. So some of those inflated numbers against lefties, really not a concern for me tonight. I like Andrew Cashner at 8,700.
Yeah, no, I mean, 8,700 for Cashner tonight is pretty much a steal. I only did not play Cashner so I could play Steven Strasburg just to show, everyone, Steven Strasburg's got a big name. He's a big favorite tonight. He's at home. Obviously, he's pitched well at home, historically for his career. 9.5K. I do like Cashner. I think he's my top option. But I did pivot just for the sake of showing you other ways to build and took Steven Strasburg.
Yeah, and I don't blame you there. He's a fine play at home, and it seems like he just continues to get unlucky with that BABIP, so maybe that turns around for him tonight. And Marlins not exactly an intimidating lineup outside of Giancarlo Stanton, 20th in the league against righties. So, I like that call. Moving on to catcher, Stephen Vogt. No surprise should come here from you. If you know me, you know what I've been talking about. I mean, Stephen Vogt is just on fire. He gets Trevor May tonight. He mashes righties. I mean, Stephen Vogt is a lock for me. His price finally jumped, unfortunately, to 3,500, but still more than reasonable for him the way he's playing.
Yeah, I mean, 3.5K, I don't think you overthink it. The guy hasn't had a negative outing in who knows how long. 12 and a half last night, 15.75 the night before. I mean, he only had one at bat the night before, 0.75. The guy is literally on fire right now. He's got a high floor, which is funny to say for a catcher. It's just a weird. Usually it's Buster Posey, yeah. But I took Vogt too. I didn't want to overthink it. I did question pivoting over to Derek Norris to fit something else, but I actually think the difference between Vogt and Norris versus my change in the outfield, which was actually upgrading George Springer to Michael Brantley, I felt that it didn't warrant that change, so I kept Vogt in, and he's a top option without a doubt. And I know moving to first base, I believe we're on the same first baseman. I'm not sure. I had a little bit of an episode in our earlier podcast about Jose Abreu's price tag at 3.6K. He's my first base option. I mean, cash games, GPPs. I mean, it's hard to not. I mean, I just don't know if people are going to play Abreu. He hasn't had a huge game since the Cleveland series where he was hitting home runs, RBIs. He's been kind of quiet, so I don't know how that's going to affect his ownership. But at 3.6K, I can't get away from it in a cash game. I mean, that's just too cheap.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the only reasoning for it is I won't say he's necessarily been struggling, but he hasn't been putting up Jose Abreu type numbers. But that price is great. I did pivot a little bit here. I went with Matt Adams at $3,000. Multi-hit games in 5 of his last 8. Facing off against Kyle Hendricks now, who has a nice wOBA split against righties at 272, but against lefties, 358 allowed so far this year. So I'm taking advantage of that. Matt Adams has been getting on. The Cardinals have been scoring runs, so he's been having plenty of opportunity to score runs as well. Come up with some ducks on the pond. So I like him at 3K. And obviously, you got to pay up somewhere else. And I feel like I'm just trying to get the highest floor, and I feel like Matt Adams gives you a nice floor there at first base.
Listen, I need a go back. I need an explanation and a go back of what ducks on a pond are.
It's a baseball expression. It's runners on base, ducks on the pond.
Ducks on a pond. All right.
Ducks on the pond.
Ducks on the pond. All right, so moving on, ducks on the pond to frogs on lily pads. I'm going to Jose Altuve at second base at 4.8K. I mean, do I need to really explain why Jose Altuve is a good play? The guy's floor. I mean, looking, if you take a second, you're watching this video, open up FanDuel, you should already have it open. Look at his recent game logs. I mean, is his floor like 4? I mean, I get he scored less than 4 multiple times, but
No,
when
twice
you look
in
at
his last 10. That's it.
twice in his last 10, and the other ones 8, 7, 10, 7, 8. I mean, the guy is literally on fire. I love watching him. He's so fun to watch. He steals bases. Him and I think it was Springer last night pulled the double steal. The guy just does so much. And my second baseman, you know, I looked at let me just pull up some other second baseman potential. The distance between him and others is just, I'm doing it. If I'm going down, it's probably Dozier. I don't think I'd pay $100 less for D. Gordon against Strauss. So Altuve, high floor. He might be one of my favorite options actually of the night because no one's going to pay for him 4.8K, I don't think, in a GPP. I think it'll be a little bit low owned.
Yeah, I'm with you. I absolutely love playing Jose Altuve. I mean, just to further how good he's been at the plate, he got an intentional walk last night. He's a leadoff hitter getting an intentional walk. I mean, that tells you right there how scared opposing pitchers are of Jose Altuve, a leadoff hitter getting an intentional pass. I mean, that right there, I mean, the guy is absolutely ridiculous. He can do it all. He steal bases. He's got some power somehow. I mean, I absolutely love him. I know we're a little bit different on third base here. I went with a guy I think is very underpriced due to this matchup. Usually bats cleanup against lefties. His batting average isn't great this year, but throughout his career he hits lefties. The Angels are finally starting to kind of get it going a little bit. I mean, obviously give him a pass for last night against Felix Hernandez, but David Freese at $2,900 against James Paxton. You got James Paxton. He hasn't been he's been better against righties and lefties, 305 WOBA compared to 380. But last year wasn't quite the case. I like David Freese a lot in the middle of this order. With Albert Pujols back, Mike Trout hot right now. I mean, I'm a big fan of David Freese at $2,900.
Yeah, I mean, I do like David Freese at that price tag. You know how I typically do things, and I take my punts, and they better have serious upside. I think Josh Harrison is underpriced batting leadoff for the Pirates. I think the reason he's been struggling too is McCutchen hasn't been playing well. Neil Walker hasn't been hitting the ball, relatively well. 2,500 should be batting leadoff. Last season we saw he had 13 home runs, 77 runs, 52 ribbies, almost 20 stolen bases. This year's numbers are, and then also last year he had a BABIP of 353, WOBA of 365. This year his BABIP is just above 200. And his WOBA was at 231. I don't foresee him maintaining this current rate. I think he's underpriced. I'm going to take advantage of it tonight. He does have the upside. I obviously not scared of his matchup, Michael Lorenzen. So I'm going to go ahead. I plugged in Josh Harrison, third base, 2.5K.
Yeah, and going against a young pitcher, making his second start ever. Didn't look good in his first start. I think that's a fine call there. And I actually like quite a bit of these Pirate bats here. A lot of these guys, like you mentioned, I mean, they've got high floors. They steal bases, they get on, they score runs. So I'm a big fan there. And moving on to shortstop here, where, as you know, when he's facing a lefty and he's cheap, I love Mike Aviles against especially a bad lefty and Jason Vargas, who's allowing a 358 WOBA to righties, 438 to lefties. These Cleveland bats, some of my favorites on the night, and Mike Aviles at 2.5K just makes a lot of sense. He gets you that discount. He gives you a nice high floor. He's got a decent ceiling too. He's got a little bit of pop in his bat there at shortstop. So I'm a big fan.
Alrighty, so since we're on Aviles too, let's do something here. So will you pull up Cleveland's game log so you can see what pitcher they faced in the last 10 games? Is that able for you to do?
That'll probably take me a minute. I don't have the tab open for that right now, but.
Alrighty, no worries. What I was going to say is you look at Mike Aviles' game logs. Last 2 games, 5 at-bats. Were those both against lefties? We'll see.
I know that at least 3 of them were.
I mean, you can look at his game logs. There's very specific. His game logs look like this. And, they're up and down all over the place, but you're getting those at-bats against lefties. The guy crushes them. Aviles 2.5K mint salary. I love it. Play Aviles, man. You can't beat that. I think Justin will mention this also. He's a big fan of the Cleveland in general tonight. So if Mike Aviles is anywhere near the top of the order, which he should be, I think he's a locked-in option at shortstop. I mean, if you're not playing him, I don't know who necessarily you're playing. I mean, I'm probably paying a little bit more for Marcus Semien batting second, but other than that, I don't really love shortstop. So Aviles makes the most sense.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Moving on to outfield, I think we're both on the same punt play. He batted sixth last night. Sometimes he bats first. Sometimes he bats second. David DeJesus against Rick Porcello. 2.2K, absolute minimum salary. Porcello, a contact pitcher. I mean, a lot of things going in his favor here. He's given up 3 homers to lefties, 3 to righties. DeJesus not a guy that's got a lot of power. He's just got 1 homer on the season. But, if he gets on base and scores some runs, I mean, minimum salary, you're not risking much to get DeJesus here.
No, I mean, I played DeJesus too. I think we talked about it. I brought it up. He's 2.2K in salary, had 2 hits last night. I mean, the guy will walk, and, he's got a decent power behind him. I know Steven Souza hasn't been hitting the ball as well. He also went down in the order. Longo, he's up there. It just depends. Kiermaier, he's not a bad option at 2.2K tonight. I get Porcello, he's a ground ball pitcher historically, not bad, but I can't get you need a punt, and if I can punt a starter batting leadoff, I mean, that's where I'm starting. So I took him as well. And then I guess I'll go over to my next one. So I talked earlier, I had Stephen Vogt in, and I really like Michael Brantley tonight. I'm with Justin on the outfield, or Cleveland in general. Michael Brantley was 4.1K. But it forced me to go from Stephen Vogt to Derek Norris. Now, you've got to look at your cash game lineup specifically as like a puzzle. So what would you rather have, Stephen Vogt, George Springer, or Derek Norris, Michael Brantley? So Michael Brantley might be better than George Springer. He obviously is. Michael Brantley is a very good baseball player. But what's more likely to happen? George Springer to outscore Michael Brantley, or Derek Norris to outscore Stephen Vogt? So when you look at those kind of relationships, that's where it brought me to George Springer. I'm going to call him a fill-in, but I like him every single night. So it's not like he's a bad play. The guy can hit a home run. He steals bases. He's very patient at the plate. I mean, he's got 4 walks in his last 3 games. The guy, he does everything. And Justin's a huge fan. I actually didn't know much about George Springer before I met and talked to Justin. So George Springer just makes sense for me to keep Vogt in my lineup, who I think is the best catcher of the night.
Yeah. I mean, Springer's one of my favorite players in the game. He's a 5-tool guy. Once he can cut down the strikeouts, which has been his main concern throughout his career, I mean, the guy's got superstar written all over him. Obviously, on FanDuel, outs are outs. You don't really care how they come. So if he strikes out 3 times, gets you 2 hits, that's fine. I love the high floor that he brings with the stolen base upside. Brantley had that last year, hasn't shown it much this year. But, I mean, I think they're similar type players, honestly. They both have power, both hit lefties well. So I think they're both in fine spots. But I'm with you there. I wouldn't be coming off Vogt to Norris for that either. All right, another guy here who I think we might both have, Denard Span, $3,400. Oh, you might. You don't. All right. Denard Span is 34 against Matt Latos. Matt Latos really struggling this year. 29% ground ball rate, 401 WOBA allowed to lefties. And Denard Span has been absolutely tearing the cover off the ball recently. You look at his last point totals, 3.25, 2.25, 1.5, 10, 15.75. He's getting on base. The Nationals are bringing him home. He's not stealing many bases, only one stolen base in his last 10. But you think that might come with him. And, I mean, he's been showing some pop in his bat. He's got a couple home runs, too. He's got 6 doubles, 8 extra base hits total in 52 at-bats. So the guy has a monster floor, big-time upside, too. And 3,400, I think he's by far the best option in that price range. Unless you have found some hidden gold that I haven't found.
No hidden gold. I will say this, we'll call it hidden gold, actually, because I don't think many people will play him. He's also cheap. You're going to need cheap. We talked earlier. I built out. I love Abreu at first base. I love Vogt at catcher. Altuve was my favorite second baseman by far. I punted third base, but I gave you good reason. Mike Aviles makes sense at shortstop, which means I was building outwards with my outfielders, and Ryan Rayburn was the locked and loaded option. I mean, you check his game logs. We know what he does against righties. So, I mean, I know you've got Ryan Rayburn. No.
I changed it up on you.
Wow. So,
but I do love Ryan Rayburn tonight. He's an awesome cash game play.
I mean, he's obviously, he does have some upside. I think Earlier in middle April, he had a big game against the White Sox, if I remember. Yeah, against the White Sox, he had a home run, RBI, walk, couple hits, double. He had a good outing, but he's not going to go for 10 or 15. But he's going to get you a hit, a run, an RBI, and he's going to settle around that 2 to 4 fantasy point range, which at 2.5K, thank you. Yeah. On to the next.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to give you good at-bats against a bad pitcher, so I'm with you there. My other guy went with, and this is kind of feeding into the theme, combination of speed and power. You know, you've got your power with Stephen Vogt and with Matt Adams, and even somewhat with Mike Aviles. But Starling Marte is a combination of both. They've got now Span, Altuve, Marte, all who have some speed, steal bases. I mean, he's hitting the ball tremendously well. He's $4,000 tonight. Last game, 2 for 6 with a stolen base. Game before that, 3 for 6 with a double. The guy had 6 home runs on the season already. He steals bases. He just gets on, and I love his chances tonight against the young pitcher Michael Lorenzen. So give me that high floor of Starling Marte at 4K.
Yeah, I mean, you know how I feel. I do not know why that I'm such a. I feel like I need to get like a Pirates jersey or something along those lines. I mean, I love all Pirates all the time. You look at his price tag on DK, 5K, but the guy just literally, man, he gets things. He gets on base. Yep. You know, he's good for about a strikeout, 2 strikeouts a game, but he usually makes up for it with two, 3 hits, a stolen base, and a run or an RBI. So I love Marte's good every night. I mean, the guy's his OPS this season, 796, 17 ribbies, 6 home runs. He's got the upside. He's got stolen base, home run power. What else do you want? He's a less named Carlos Gomez of last season, where everyone was like, "Oh my God, Carlos Gomez is so fast. He hits home runs. He's so great." No one's talking about Starling Marte. You want to talk about under-owned in GPPs? Holy cow! High floor, high ceiling, Starling Marte. That's the FanDuel cash game lineups by us two. I mean, what you're going to want to do, follow the lineups. Look to see what happens tonight. And, make options what we talked about. Think about what we talked about. Exposing price, relationships between players. Utilize that, and you'll be off to a good cash game lineup on FanDuel. So I think that brings us to DK.
Yep. Yes, it does. You want to go ahead and start off with your 2 starting pitchers here?
I mean, I'm sure we're on the same 2. I'm not going to let you take Cashner from me in both games just because you got to talk first on FanDuel. But listen, Cashner's price tonight, 9K on DK. That puts him at 1, 2, 3, 4th most expensive pitcher. I think he's probably the top option overall, period. You know, whatever his price tag is, I think he's your best option tonight. So I'm on Cashner. You already know why. And then I'm struggling on DK. So I'm going to say this. There's a huge edge on DraftKings tonight because there's not a clear-cut pitching options. So Justin and I talked about this guy earlier. He had some serious zing last year. He didn't let the frogs on the lily pads. He shot the ducks on the pond. The guy's good. And Garrett Richards, 9.5K. I like him tonight. I'm really struggling to find a second option. Greinke for me, I don't know. It just didn't work out. I couldn't get Greinke. And we also talked about this. The Brewers do have a top of the order now that's changed. I'm probably only cash games playing Cashner, Richards, Greinke, and Strasburg, however.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And I did get Greinke in my cash game lineup there at 9,800. I mean, you got to love the fact that he should be in a great spot for a win once again with the Dodgers being the #1 offense against righties. A bad righty on the other mound at Matt Garza. So, Zach Greinke, he's under 10K. He's one of the better pitchers in the game. He doesn't give up a lot of hits. He gave up 7 last time out, but 4, 5, 5, and 2 in his other games this year. So he doesn't give up a lot of base runners, and that's what I really love about him the most. So Zach Greinke at 9,800 just makes sense for me too. I'm with you on those other guys as well, but I mean that's hard to pass up that price tag for me at 9,800.
Yeah, no, completely agree. Completely agree.
All right, catcher for me, once again, I don't know if you heard of the guy. We talked about him a couple times. It's Stephen Vogt. He's $3,900. He is still too cheap. Take advantage.
372 on the season, 7 home runs, 25 ribbies, 1.18 OPS. I mean, the guy's locked in 3 home runs, 9 ribbies, past 2 games, 2 walks. Until he's probably 4.2 to 4.4K, I'm probably playing him nightly as my cash game catcher.
Yeah, and I mean, the guy doesn't even strike out. He puts the ball in play almost every single time, so I absolutely love him. And
Yeah.
one of the few spots where DraftKings hasn't really caught up with the pricing, so I can't imagine he stays under 3K for long. I think it was 3,400 last night, so they're slowly creeping him up, but I still think this is too cheap for him. Once again, at first base, I'm going with the guy that I think is too cheap, and it's Matt Adams once again, $3,700. Guy's batting over 300, putting the ball in play. He's got some power. We saw what the Cardinals could do last night. If the Cardinals get it going against young pitcher and Kyle Hendricks tonight, please believe Matt Adams will be a big part of that.
Please believe for my DraftKings lineup that Matt Adams better get it going tonight because I have Matt Adams as well. I didn't know you were going to go with Matt Adams on both. I was talking about Votto. And he's got a great price, 3.7K. Yeah, I have Matt Adams, same exact reason. Sorry, guys, did not mean to double dip on our first base option, but I love his price tag, and I also don't have a. I'm really big about exploiting prices. DraftKings did a great job tonight. I think their pricing is pretty fair. You know, if I'm seeing value, it's coming. Man, he should be maybe 100 or 200 cheaper. They've got pricing knocked down. So Matt Adams, I think, is your number one value option tonight. And yeah, I did the same.
Yeah, and moving on here to some other guys, and I like the pricing tonight, but the values just happen to be values that I liked, and I did manage to get a couple really big bats in here as well. First of which is Jose Altuve at $5,300. He's expensive, yes, but like we mentioned in the FanDuel part, I don't mind paying him, especially against a lefty. I mean, the guy is just tremendous. Enough said. If you can afford Jose Altuve, he's by far your top cash game option at second base.
Yeah, not even close. I did find a little bit of value here, and it's Justin Pedroia against Drew Smyly, 3.8K. I mean, he's not going to throw up 2 home runs, 7 RBI. He's not that kind of player. But he also is going to get on base. He's going to get you a hit. He's going to walk. He's going to score a run. He's going to score you 7 to 14 fantasy points on DraftKings. At second base tonight, I decided that's where I'm going to go on DraftKings just because you have to take 2 pitchers. So it was hard for me to fit Altuve. So kudos to you, young Jedi Master. It was I think Altuve is clearly a top option overall tonight, but I found some value with Dustin Pedroia.
Yeah, I got another big name for you. You're going to get surprised with in the outfit, but we'll get to that in a minute. Sticking with the same theme, I think David Freese is underpriced here too, and significantly so. $3,300 against slightly above average lefty in James Paxton, but also a James Paxton who's been wild at times too. He does a good job keeping the ball on the ground, but if I can get a cleanup hitter for the Angels right behind Mike Trout, Albert Pujols for $3,300 against not an overpowering lefty, I'm all aboard that train. So give me some David Freese at $3,300.
No, you're right. David Freese, solid play tonight. Third base, I decided to go to Mr. He's got a great name. Spells it really weird, though. I don't know what he's possibly thinking. Chris Bryant. I like his price, 4.3K. Tim Cooney's first game against Philly, 2 1/3 innings pitched, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, a home run, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. I mean, the guy's just, he had a tough first outing. Chris Bryant actually last night looked very disciplined at the plate against Martinez. He had 4 walks last night, 15 fantasy points, yet to hit a home run. My gut says this comes tonight. I like his upside. He's actually displayed a decent floor because of his ability to get on base, and essentially the players in front of him have been getting on base. So he's pretty much been locked in for an RBI. He's playing great. I like Chris Bryant. I know he's not what everyone thought he was going to be, hitting 15 home runs in 10 games. Like,
give him time. He's getting there.
Give him time. He's getting there. He gets there tonight. I love Chris Bryant at 4.3K.
Yeah, I'm a big fan there as well. I mean, like you said, that plate discipline in itself makes him a great cash game play, even if he's not going yard. So I like that call a lot. Shortstop, I'm going to be boring for you once again. It's Mike Aviles. Should be batting second. He's $3,300. I mean, just to put this in perspective, you're looking at the guys that are priced around there. You've got Steven Drew, Cliff Pennington, Aiden Hechavarria, Xander Bogaerts. No one that's going to get a good lineup spot around this price that you really feel comfortable playing. Only other guy around that price I'd really consider would be Yunel Escobar if he's batting second again. You certainly don't expect to go 5 for 5 like he did last night, but the guy's a good hitter. He's batting over 300 on the season, and I mean, I don't mind him at 3K as a swerve, but I'm still loving to pick on Jason Vargas. I love picking on him every time he comes out, and he's just a bad pitcher.
Yeah, I would have played Mike Aviles. I knew you were playing him. I was 100% certain you had him in. I pivoted over to Marcus Simeon. If you've been watching any of the podcasts, reading my articles, I love him. Absolutely love him. He flies under the radar. I mean, we're looking at Oakland sacks that don't include him. The guy is literally, I mean, he's hitting home runs, but he's getting on base. He's hitting doubles. He's just getting hits, and he's scoring runs. I mean, he scored 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 runs in his last 10 games. The guy's just his floor right now is insane for me. I love him tonight. I know you like Trevor May. I like the way Oakland hits the ball, and pitchers go to Oakland this year, and it's been a different story for them. So I put Simeon in at 4.1K.
Yeah, well, I do like Trevor May in general. I'm sure as hell not playing him tonight. I do like the Oakland Bats, so I'm with you there. I just feel like he doesn't get any credit. I think he's a decent pitcher, but Marcus Simeon's a great call. Should be batting second right there. If you pairing him with Stephen Vogt, you got that little 2-3 punch, maybe. I mean, I think Vogt batted fifth last night, but he somewhere in there, third to fifth. Either way, you still get yourself two pieces of exposure to seemingly an average righty. So here's my big surprise for you. You may be surprised to see that I fit this guy in my lineup. His name is Mr. Mike Trout, a.k.a. best player in all of baseball. I got him against James Paxton. I'm pairing him up with David Freese, and he's $5,600, so he's expensive. But as you've seen, there's some values to be had here. I got arguably the top two pitchers here. By far the top second baseman, by far the best hitter in the game here in Mike Trout. We know the type of floor this guy has. He steals bases. He hits home runs. I like his prospects tonight a lot. Well, and every other night, too.
Every other night. So the cool thing that Justin and I did for you guys today was he went a little bit more punty, high-priced guys, where I gave you the balance. So it shows how you can build two lineups. My cheapest guy is David DeJesus at 2.4K. My next cheapest was Matt Adams at 3.7K. So I went a little bit more value, or more, I guess balance and value based, just to show you guys that either way can work. David DeJesus, same reasons as FanDuel leading off 2.4K. That's too cheap for him leading off. I mean, when we look at 2.4K people. Let's just give a quick example. Skip Schumacher, Logan Schaefer, Elian Herrera. Guys that you don't even. Don Kelly. I think Don Kelly was like a singer from the 80s. So
he's also on the DL.
He's also on the DL. I mean, but still, he's still priced at 2.4K. Yeah. And the thing is, David DeJesus isn't on the DL. He's batting leadoff against Rick Porcello. He's just a good price. I mean, there's no way around it. He's not going to light up the scoreboard, but he might get you 5, 10, 15. He has 10 RBIs on the season. He's just a punt option. He's the only punt I'm giving you. And then I'm going to go right next to my big superstar stud. I'm glad you didn't play him. You played him on FanDuel. He's the man. I've been really liking him for my GPP teams. But I've noticed that, when a guy consistently gets you double digits, maybe he's not just a GPP play. And Starling Marte tonight, 4.9K, locked and loaded on my DK cash game lineup.
All right, I've got two guys left here, one of which you already talked about, David DeJesus. I think I'm not going to say a must-play, but at 2.4K on DraftKings, I mean, he's just way, way, way too cheap. So, I mean, basically, if you're going down that low in order to get some big bats, some big pitchers, it's him or Jeff Francoeur. And yes, Francoeur had a big game last night, but before that, he was just god-awful for a few weeks straight. So, no thanks there. And my last guy is Anthony Gose. You know that I love playing some Detroit leadoff hitters in any situation. We already talked about how Jeff Samardzija just has not looked himself this year. He hasn't looked good. Anthony Gose is the guy that he steals bases. He gets on. He scores runs. I mean, this is the Tigers' offense. It's, one of the best in the entire league. And, you're looking at their numbers here. They're fifth in the league against righties. Expect him to put up some numbers here, and I expect Gose to get on and get driven in. And he's wearing a backwards hat in his picture on DK. How can you not love the guy?
I gotta see this. And also, just before we go, I forgot to give my my last one, Jock Peterson. Enough said. He's come up. I'm gonna say that he's arrived. Jock Peterson has arrived. He hit a home run last night.
Five in his last 7.
5 in his last 7. I mean, the guy is here. He's batting leadoff. He's going against the Brewers tonight. I think Jock Peterson should probably be in the 4.6, 4.8K range. I mean, if this continues, which it's not like he's swinging. He just swings hard. Swings hard. I like him. He's been, 4.3K. The other options, I just don't love them as much as him. So that's closing out my DraftKings lineup.
All right, that's going to wrap things up. Find us on Twitter at DF Cafe. Lots of great content for this slate and every other slate at dailyfantasycafe.com. We will see you guys tomorrow.